All right, we are our Arya Nagarjuna's friends. It's December 17th, 2025. Let's gather our minds here as we usually do. We get properly connected. Now bring to mind that being who for you is a manifestation of ultimate love, ultimate compassion, ultimate wisdom. And there they are, gazing at you with their unconditional love for you, smiling at you with their holy great compassion, their wisdom radiating from them. That beautiful golden glow encompassing you in its light. And then we hear them say, bring to mind someone you know who's hurting in some way. Feel how much you would like to be able to help them. Recognize how the worldly ways we try fall short. How wonderful it will be when we can also help them in some deep and ultimate way, a way through which they will go on to stop their distress forever. Deep down, we know this is possible. Deep down, we know this is what we're meant to become. Feel that determination deep inside you. And with that, we turn our minds back to our precious holy being. We know they know what we need to know, what we need to learn yet, what we need to do yet to become one who can help this other in this deep and ultimate way. So we ask them, please, 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 teach me, guide me, help me, show me. And they are so happy that we've asked. Of course, they agree. Our gratitude arises. We want to offer them something exquisite. And so we think of the pure world they are teaching us how to create. We imagine we can hold it in our hands and we offer it to them, following it with our promise to practice what they teach us, using our refuge prayer to make our promise. Here is the great earth, filled with fragrant incense and covered with the blanket of flowers. The great mountain, 4 lands, wearing the jewel of the sun and the moon. In my mind, I make them the paradise of a Buddha and offer it all to you. By this deed, may every living being experience the pure world. Idam Guru Ratna Mandala Kam Niryatayami. For refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the highest community, to the merit that I do, sharing this class and the rest. May we reach Buddhahood for the sake of every living being. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the highest community, through the merit that I do in sharing this class and the rest. May we reach Buddhahood for the sake of every living being. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the highest community, through the merit that I do in sharing this class and the rest. In this reading and the rest, may all beings totally awaken for the benefit of every single other. All right. Little bigger here. There we go. So we are reading the Supreme Garden of Wisdom. Gyaltsabje's commentary on Nagarjuna's letter to a king. Am I right there? And we are at the section where he's been talking about the 10 non-virtues, avoiding the 10 non-virtues. And then he had said also, like flip them around and do the virtues. But we're so I went backwards a little bit from where we actually stopped just so that we could catch up. So here's the 10 non-virtues we're turning our back on. The 10 non-virtues and other ill-advised activities, if you recall. I'm just going to do it quickly until we get back to where we were, okay? Because we know these. Come on, fingers, come on, here we go. Don't kill, give up stealing, which kind of implies the king must have been stealing. Then he goes, give up stealing versus just avoid stealing. Anyway, just silly. Give up coveting other people's spouses. Refrain completely from speech, which is wrong. I don't remember reading that. Divisive, harsh, or disconnected. And Janet was kind enough to go and look up this word disconnected, wherever it is in the Tibetan and the Sanskrit. And she sent me a, one of her researches, which was really helpful. And and the interesting thing is this term disconnected. That's what I was interested in, because ordinarily we would say useless, wouldn't we? And useless means, you know, gossip, movies, like things that are not meaningful. But disconnected meant like off the topic or going in a different direction or split off. And so it sounded more like what he's talking about here is somebody, we're having this conversation and all of a sudden, right, I talk about something different. So it would be more like changing the subject or not paying attention to what the other person need, and you just talk about what you need, right? It's just very different than useless talk, which in the commentary, this commentary doesn't go into the fine details like that, but it's just something to think about. Why, when we rattle off the four wrong deeds of speech, it kind of says there's some leeway in there about what those maybe mean. Anyway, I take it to mean don't change the subject or don't interrupt somebody to change the subject. Just kind of hard. You have to change the subject. But totally eliminate attachment and ill will. And the view that things aren't there. Remember, I was perplexed by that. But I did read someplace else. Maybe it must have been in this, that the view that things aren't there, the things that aren't there are the cause and effect relationships based on our behavior versus worldly cause and effect, and the uh, past and future lives. Like that, it's not the view that general things aren't there, it's that our behavior doesn't matter, that view. That it really is referring to that. But it's a funny way of saying it, right? The view that our karmic consequences aren't what's happening. So these are the 10 white paths of action. Their opposites are black. Again, the white paths of action means avoiding these things, which is curious. They're not saying the white path is protecting life. They're saying the white path is don't kill when you're in the position where you could. It seems easier to me to just avoid the 10 than it does to do the opposite. But how do you know you're actually avoiding the 10 unless you're doing the opposite? So that's just my own opinion there. All right, so these are the extra ones. We're getting close to where we were. Avoiding drinking alcohol, maintaining pure livelihood, and not harming dot dot dot, etc. Wait a minute, what's in that? And then the good ones are respect, making offerings to those worthy of offerings, and love. It's interesting, right? That there aren't 16 good ones, just these three: respect, make offerings, and love. And that's where we left off. So here's the second part, which if we had the book, we could go back and find the second part of what that we're talking about. And if I scroll back, I'm going to lose everything. So if you don't mind, I'm not going to a summary. Okay, Joanna, you're the first one up there. Will you do this page for us, like here and here?
Yeah. And thus have we summarized the things which bring about the higher realms and their results. Thus, he is explaining now, having explained above the 13 wrong activities that we need to turn away from, and the free things what we should engage in. We have summarized the 16 things which bring about or cause the higher realms along with their results.
All right, we're on the same page, right? Yay! That's a rejoicing. Sorry.
Definite good. The second part, the explanation of the causes for and result of definite goodness, has two parts: the method, as it's discussed in the sutras, and advices on those for the king.
All right. And Roxana, will you carry on, please?
Yes, thank you, dear Holy Lama. The first of these has three parts. How the conqueror explained it in brief, an extensive explanation of the meaning, and a summary. And the first of these has three parts. What kind of teaching it was. The distinction regarding whether or not the profound meaning will incite fear depends on whether or not people have mastered it or in the dark about it. And the words of our teacher illustrating that this fear comes from holding to a self. But you were explaining yesterday, Mahamudra, right?
Right, right. It's cool when things come together like that, isn't it?
Right. Mm-hmm.
See if I'm going to lose this if I try to go higher.
Shall I keep with this one?
Yes, please.
The causes of definite good appear subtle and profound. The teachings of the victors will scare infants of little learning.
Not exactly sure what they mean by definite good. Did we have that described before?
Not that I recall.
Yeah. Okay, Elsie, please.
Curriculum. Here is the first. The object of the wisdom that realizes the absence of self-nature, which causes definite good, is the fact that neither people nor things are themselves. However, some ordinary people using conventional understanding find it difficult to see this, and we call it subtle. And while it appears to wise people, it requires difficult deep exploration for others, and thus we call it profound. The teachings of the victor, suchness, means profound interdependence, scares infants who have little learning, but whoever realizes it will achieve liberation. And this is the teaching on definite goodness. Here's the explanation.
Okay. Here's the second point. How whether or not someone is scared depends upon whether they are wise or in the dark about the profound meaning. And Joanna, please.
Infants will think to themselves, there is no me which exists, and there will never will be. There is no mind which exists, and there never will be, and will thus be afraid. The wise, however, will eliminate fear. How is it, you may wonder, that the meaning of emptiness scares infants and doesn't scare the wise?
What do you think? Before we go on, what do you think? Why would it be scary to some and not scary to others?
I would say some people really get freaked out when they think there's no me, there's like no basis for anything, and they get scared. But for us who have all those explanations, it's more we can grasp a little bit what they mean by that. So there's not nothing at all, and also we don't poof
Yeah,
suddenly, but there's still, even though there's not the me that we think there's no, I don't know, it's the basis where the lotus comes from. So there is something, but
yeah,
not in the way that we think.
right.
So we're not as lost.
Yeah, I like something that Lama said yesterday, the emotional attachment that we have.
Yeah,
So just those two words, emotional attachment. I started reflecting yesterday after class and I thought, it's true, we do have a very strong emotional attachment to everything. I started sneezing because I felt cold and grasped something immediately, to cover yourself. You immediately
Yeah.
react self-existently in such a ways that you don't even notice. You just do it automatically. You know you have to cover yourself.
yeah,
So I could have done something else, but at the moment you just know you go by habit, cover
yeah,
yourself.
right, right.
So it's just the me is cold. The me is
Yeah. And as we're getting clearer and clearer, right? The me is cold. And it's like,
right,
come on, what me? Like, how can that me have a sensation of cold? Come on.
right,
It's so absurd when we apply this, right, reasoning and logic. But when we're in it, it's not the least bit absurd. Of course, because me is cold, I have to do something.
right. Yeah,
Nice.
I'm so grateful to Nagarjuna and to all this time that we spent together that I would do it again, to be honest. It has helped me so much to at least have glimpses.
Yeah, yeah, yay.
Thank you, dear Holy Lama.
My pleasure. Who was reading before? Let's continue. Elsie, was that you?
Um, Joanna, I think.
Okay.
Next
Who's
would be
reading?
Whoever, somebody read.
I finished the page.
Okay,
If you teach
Roxanne.
emptiness. Oh, no, I finished the page. Okay. If you teach emptiness to infants, people lacking in wisdom, they will take the meaning to be that there's no me that exists now, and there will be no future rebirths. And they will think that there is no mind, meaning no body or mind, nor in the future will they have any. They will suspect that me and mine will be cut off, and thus these infants will be afraid.
Yeah. I remember when we were first learning and studying to this depth, well, not this depth, but deeper than we had been. And we were spending a lot of time driving between Tucson and where Geshe-la's retreat was going on, and then later towards the Diamond Mountain that was now Diamond Mountain, where it was 2 hours drive to go to either one because they were a little bit different direction. So, I was passenger in the car and I'm chewing on all these ideas, as the world's whizzing by. And I'm just like, I remember my mind going, like, I think we were doing mind only with Winston. And it's like, how can everything be my mind? How can everything be my mind? It's so out there, right? I remember that old belief and what a struggle it was to really expand my view. And it wasn't having to do with this, oh my gosh, there's no me at all. It was more trying to get this different idea. But I remember the struggle. Like it's like it can't be that everything's my mind because I was so sure that my mind was limited to this one, you know, and it felt so strongly that it was actually limited here. And I just remember that hitting the same block of belief over and over and over again. And it would just crack a little bit, and I'd get this not visual glimpse, but idea glimpse. And then it would be gone. And I'm talking about it just because it wasn't about do I exist or do I not exist, but I could relate to that idea that if I was thinking that nothing has any self nature means nothing has, and if nothing has any self nature and everything is illusion, really means everything, right? Is, I don't know, words are failing me. Everything is like the mirage that, you go to the mirage for water and then there's no water when you get there. And it's like, where did it go? Oh, it's over there now. And then you go there and it's like nothing works the way it's supposed. I mean, I could see how it would be so disorienting if we thought, oh, what Buddha's saying is nothing's really there at all. And then if that applies to our own me, we would think if I get to that wisdom, I'm going to disappear. I can feel it and relate to it with the struggle that I was having to understand this mind only. And so, I can see why he would be taking time to talk to the king to make sure that the king is not mishearing what's the ramification of, look, there's no nature to you or to things. Because maybe the king's going to get scared and say, forget it, I can't listen anymore. I don't know. I'm just feeling like I can feel the old struggle. So I relate to this now, but I don't have it anymore, at least at the level that I get to on emptiness. I don't get the fear anymore, but I have felt that. I have hit that wall of fear in retreat. So I know it's really real.
Yeah, but how do you work past that fear? If you're in a retreat, I mean, because I don't know, I'm thinking of my mind. When my mind learns something, It's like I was remembering right now when I was studying engineering, there was this class that was taught to us that it's times and movements, how to optimize time with lesser movements.
Mm.
So I'm always trying to do that. I'm always focusing on, I'll invest time in this, and the movements that I have to do to achieve this, they have to be lesser and I have to be quicker. And
Yeah.
that's how my mind works
Uh-huh.
in what I'm going to invest in time. But it's like so automatic now. Like I couldn't get up this morning. I was really tired. But I go, no, you have to focus on it. That's main importance. You cannot skip this part. You can skip other parts of the day, but not this.
Mm.
So, but when you, but I haven't hit that fear. And what would you do if, how could you overcome it? I hit fear with idea, but it was a very special moment, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But not with thoughts or with
Yeah.
ideas.
Right. And that wasn't the fear of your own non-existence, right? It was
No,
the fear of the loss of
no.
the baby, right?
Right, right.
Yeah. Yeah. No, the fear would push me out of the depth of my meditation. So it wasn't something that I could sit in there and work with it at the moment. But then what I did was I worked out, I recognized that it was this block uh to that deeper level of the no self nature me. And so I recognized, not by direct experience, by logic, that it was that fear that I would disappear, that if I was nothing but a projection, that I would disappear because projections are not real, right? It's like still feels like that. And so I worked out, uh, is non-existence possible? So non-existence of anything would have to include me, the non-existence of me. And I just worked that through logically to try to figure out, is such a thing as non-existence possible? Because if I could prove to myself it wasn't possible, then to me that wall of fear should get more porous. And so, I just worked with that logically. And my own conclusion is, consider non-existence. It cannot exist because to establish its existence requires being perceived by a valid perception.
I'm recalling John Brady's meditation of the four spaces.
Mhm. Right,
Could have something to do, of getting prepared for that moment.
right. All of our emptiness meditations prepare us for that moment.
Yeah, but here is, I mean, because I translated last night. I didn't listen it during retreat. I don't know what time it was,
Yeah, yeah.
but they asked for more volunteers to translate those
Uh-huh.
classes they weren't live. So I translated last night, and I was thinking how they guide you by that process of the four spaces.
Mhm.
And I think that if you practice that type of meditations, it would be easier to overcome that fear. And I'm so grateful to be receiving all of these teachings that to be prepared.
Right.
Yeah. Thank you, Dilema. I'm glad you overcame that fear.
Well, I hope it'll take me all the way.
It will.
Elsie, please.
Thank you, Lama. The ones who grasp suchness deep in their hearts See that the very fact that things are empty of any nature of their own lead us to give up the cycle of pain and achieve freedom, and with this idea eliminate their fear.
You know, in the Heart Sutra, there's that phrase, can't remember how the verse starts, but it's like those who stay in this perfection of wisdom, they eliminate all fears. All fears. They has plural in that one, all fears. And I remember, first learning the Heart Sutra and how that particular phrase struck me. And then every time I read it or say it again, I don't know, that one's really key to eliminate all fears. And I don't really think of myself as a fearful person, but somehow I relate to that because when I was younger, I did have a lot of like concern. Was I safe? Was I safe? Only a few times in my whole life have I been in a position where I didn't feel safe. But somehow, right, carrying seeds from past life, I was never the big confident one that could step into a unknown situation. I was always like shy and like, and it's only been, my recent life, last 20 years, that's fallen away. So this idea of eliminating all fears, it goes deeper than just, no, I'm strong enough and capable to be able to take care of myself. That's the end of some fear. But all fears could only arise from understanding so clearly, so directly that whatever's happening is number one, my own seeds ripening. And number two is all like designed to help me along my path as swiftly as possible. If I could keep those two parts of appearing reality in my mind constantly, that would be freedom. Because every moment you're burning off, you're even just burning off ignorance every moment. And every interaction is moving us along our path to the end of suffering for everybody. I mean, if we could just get a glimpse of what that would feel like to know you're doing that every moment, we would be fearless even in the face of terrifying situations. Because it would be like, it doesn't matter what happens to this body. It doesn't matter what happens. It just doesn't matter because it's all moments to respond, right, with the highest wisdom for the highest best. I don't know. I want to get to that point, as opposed to no, if this is staying on this path means stepping into dangerous, horrible things, I don't want any part of it. As opposed to, okay, bring it on. Right? I say, as I was complaining to Joanna about what's going on in the world, but right, I get the glimpse how we could be fearless when our profound dependence, wisdom is coloring our glasses all the time. Yeah.
For me, this and the latter part, somehow my mind went to the moment of death and also the teachings that Geshe Michael recently was giving in the Lamrim. At the end, we always neglect and we try to look away, but there will be a day coming, and so they are preparing us. And it's interesting that they were separating body and mind. And what also Roxana said, I was thinking that I'm also distinguishing between intellect and mind. somehow. So in our former lives, like in this lifetime, but the former decades, we have learned things and we've studied things. And I was really thinking about, but is this for me the same thing than the mind? Is my mind working like that? I mean, I've fed my intellect, but my mind somehow feels, I can't grasp it yet, but it feels different from the mind. And that they say that we will, lose body and mind at the end of this life. There will be this emotional attachment also to this life.
Right.
And to hear these teachings and to know that there is seeds ripening and it's more a transformation to the next whatever existence. But it still can be fearful because we don't know how we end up. And Geshe Michael says we definitely go to hell. It's like, oh yeah, that's encouraging. Thank you very much. So I don't know. I'm going there actually when I read those. And for those who don't have those teachings, I can see how this moment is even more frightening because they really think everything is getting lost and there won't be anything left
Right.
physically and whatever the other West is.
Right.
Would be nice to have been eliminated from that fear, to really be free.
Yeah. Those who hold to a self fear. Whoopsie. Roxana, please.
Thank you. His teachings were to help people who possess what arises from holding to a me and holding to a mine. For every last one of these people, specifically, he taught.
Yay.
Shall I continue?
Yes, please.
Thank you. Every last one of these beings who are not yet realized label those 9 things, meaning 5 parts that we take on at birth along with the 4 elements, people. And these come from holding to a me. His teachings were directed specifically to help those people who hold to a me. He taught emptiness in order to liberate these infants from the cycle of pain. But due to their holding to a me and mine, the meaning of emptiness taught by the victors frightened them. An extensive explanation of the meaning. Well, of course, it frightens them. I mean, I've been studying for quite some years now. It's not the same as if we were studying and listening to certain teachings immediately. That's my thought.
Yeah.
I think that the seeds ripen in a very wise way. They take you by the hand. That's how I feel. And still, you know, being around so many years, it's like I'm still feel like a baby, like that infant.
Yeah. I mean, think and rejoice about the level of your understanding when you read or hear this paragraph. Can you imagine, like, if you've never heard the pen thing, never studied any of the Dharma, and you read this paragraph, would it have much meaning?
No.
And yet, from what we've done, right? Which I don't know your mind, but I do know, right, that we've come a long way. We've studied a lot together. So I know
Yes.
you have at least some basis of knowledge because of what I've tried to confer, plus all the rest that you've done. And we can read this paragraph and get these insights, yeah, of meaning. I'm really appreciating that right now.
Yes, me too. I'm like just like thinking, how many hours a week do we have for over 10 years, Lama?
Yeah, yeah,
And what we do apart from this and the translations and I mean, you really need to dive deep if you really want
yeah,
to surface, at least me, just to surface on
yeah,
top of what of wisdom.
yeah. Holding to a me and mine and investigating the emptiness of the me and mine. Right? Can you feel your mind, your heart, like going, yeah, right, yeah, ooh, yeah, ooh. Layers,
Right.
layers, layers.
Right. Those layers.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so rejoice in yourself.
Thank you.
Rejoice in the good seeds, right, that have brought us here and the good seeds we've made in the process of getting here. And the good seeds that were colored by that intention that we always set, being beyond our own advantage, doing it for another, doing it ultimately for all, like really special, special, special. Yay. May it continue.
May it so.
Elsie, teach us the second part, please.
The second part, the extensive explanation, has three parts of its own: establishing that the habit of holding to me and mine is a lie, a denial that being chained or free have any nature of their own, and a demonstration that all things are free from the extremes of being permanent or cut off. Mm.
Okay, go ahead, please.
The first has four parts: the actual explanation, a demonstration that by letting go of that we achieve freedom, an explanation of presence using the metaphor of a reflection in a mirror, and a demonstration that realizes emptiness is the cause of liberation.
Okay, let's go back and find the first of the four parts because I can't remember. The
The me and mine is a lie.
habit of holding to me and
Mm.
mind is a lie. Do you think that's weird? I would have said mistaken. The habit of holding to me and mind is mistaken. But a lie, I find that curious. Holding to me and mind is a lie.
I think instead of using the word deceptive or
Yeah,
they use the word lie,
yeah, I don't
I
really,
imagine.
yeah. In the teachings, Geshe would say, our outer world is lying to us. And I've always struggled with that because it just doesn't, to me, it's like, no, the world isn't doing anything. The world's not lying to me. It's my I'm lying to me. I'm saying that world is coming at me. It's my lie, not the world's lie. Anyway, the habit of me and mine having its own nature is a lie, is what is being explained here.
It's a self-existence, isn't it? So,
Right,
but they're just using other words.
right. Joanna, please.
These things, what we call me and what we call mine, from the perspective of ultimate reality, are wrong. For someone with correct view, for roughly understands that these two are not what arise.
Go ahead, please.
Our parts come from grasping to a me, and the object of this grasping is in reality a lie. For if you have a seed which is false, however could something real start from it? It would be nice to have the Tibetan. So the translation, like false, I would think the opposite is correct, but here they say real. And if you go for the lie, then it would be the truth. So kind of to match it somehow. Maybe it is, I don't know, maybe there's different layers even
Right.
that bring it deeper by not using the corresponding, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm so limited. And Janet always points out you can go to the Tibetan, but then you also need to go to the Sanskrit,
It is.
right? And then as I attend the mixed nuts, and I really admire how they work out, right, their translation together. And I see how we are relying upon the level of the translator's understanding in order to get
Yeah.
it from the Tibetan, because they're not going word for word Tibetan and then putting it into English and then rearranging the words to make it make sense. They're reading the whole thing, talking about, I think it means this, I think it means that, I think it means this, and then they get a consensus, and that's what it means. But it may not be that's what it means at all.
Mm.
And I'm limited because I don't know the words and I don't know the Sanskrit. And it feels too big a project for me to learn those two languages, and it would take me away from learning what I can learn from the English. So I'm like between a rock and a hard place. And I just didn't take it seriously enough when I first started to recognize, oh my gosh, I really do need to learn these two languages because I was so involved in learning the ideas that I just was limited. I felt limited my own self. Hi, Janet. Nice to see you. We were just talking about you. Good talk. Admiring your help with the language.
I mean, all I do is look things up in the dictionary and correct the spelling.
Yeah,
And
it's
I mean,
helpful.
the Tibetan commentators sometimes took liberties. You should just realize that
Right,
sometimes.
right. No, that's what I'm saying. It's like that we can't always rely on it because we were we were wondering about these words, lie, false, real. And why they were chosen for the English compared to the other two languages about what it's really trying to say. Just anyway, so poof. So again, in following that same thought, when Geshe-la comes to a conclusion about his way of phrasing it, I choose to trust that my Lama is putting on paper in the way that it will help my mind is better, but rather to the curiosity about it, right, is helpful. But my own personal conclusion needs to be Geshe worded it this way on purpose, specifically because he knows what it's trying to say and how to get it across for me. And that's the only way I can go forward. Otherwise, it's like, I can't study this at all because I don't really know.
See, I actually think you're wrong. I think you could use the dictionary because the the Tibetan is put into the English, but there are some spelling mistakes with the dictionary, so you have to be good enough. Like that Nick put TZ, but it was TS. And then when Geshe-la finds mistakes, sometimes it's with the na and the da because they look really similar. So that's why a carver would translate or carve those words wrong.
Yeah.
And then there's probably other stuff we don't know about. But with the really common stuff like the TS, the TZ, you could probably get to the point where you could use the dictionary. I don't think you're beyond that. I don't think it is. And then Venerable Utpala talks about the word order and how sometimes something at the end it should be at the beginning. So you
Right.
could like kind of pick up on that. The problem I see is the Sanskrit. Because no one speaks Sanskrit anymore. So you don't really have support in our society to figure out what they're trying to say. But that's just
Yeah.
my opinion, that you
Yeah.
could
That's
probably do dictionary, even if you disagree.
yeah. 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 I don't find using the dictionary particularly helpful because of the word order thing with the Tibetan. But well, I'm language impaired.
Christina Kasika she's starting a course in Sanskrit this at the
Yeah.
start of the year, so
Yeah.
I don't think you're language impaired. I think this is just something you're not in the habit of doing.
Yeah. It's not my gig.
I mean, I translate text for Tai Chi too, so I am
Good.
in the habit, so it's a little bit different. But then I have other bad habits.
Good. All right. So where are we? Joanna, please.
Here is the actual explanation. While there are things that we can conventionally call me and mine, from the perspective of ultimate reality, what we call me and what we call mine, what we hold to, or wrong, mistaken. Ultimately, or as the text says, in reality, they are lying to us. If you ask why this is the case, it's because of me and my parts were established as existing through some nature of their own. Then they are what we would have to perceive directly during the meditation that realizes emptiness. However, me and mine do not appear to our minds.
Yeah, good. That's an interesting logic, isn't it? If they have their own nature, then when you are in experiencing ultimate reality, they would have to appear to you. And they don't. So they can't. Ta-da. Okay.
there you really have to trust already the person who's telling you that, because since you haven't had the direct experience yet, you don't know.
Right.
Mm.
Roxana, please.
Let's look at a proof. Consider the parts of the person that come from grasping to a me. They lie to us because the object of the grasping to a me, which is unreal, meaning not ultimate, is false. So everything that is not real is false, and it's a lie. Is it? Is that what
Everything
it's
that's
saying?
not ultimate. Everything that's not ultimate is false.
Right. It's false, it's unreal, and it's a lie.
And it's happening.
And everything starts because of the attachment, because of the grasping to a me and a mine, right?
Everything that never starts does so, yes.
Okay. So we know that it starts from there. How do we deconstruct from there? From, I mean, I'm reading it, and of course, what I'm thinking, okay, you have background information now from other texts that you've studied, and now these terms come together as false, lying, unreal. Where are they leading me to if they're empty of self-existence? So how can I how can I transform it into real, ultimate, and truthful?
Well, what would it be to be real, ultimate, and truthful?
Well, probably would be a simple answer just to just to be emanating. I mean, just to be a Buddha, just to saying things appearing in simultaneously as they are without, I was doing exercise the other day of my thoughts, and I found myself judging and judging and judging simple things, but judging. Even by watching TV, I'm judging. Even if Edward's making too much noise, I'm judging. Even
Right.
if he's playing with his dinosaurs and he's being rough the way he's playing, I'm judging. So,
Right.
so how can we have, I mean, or start the process of seeing things real, truthful, and pure? I mean, not stained. Because it says here, it was very curious because how they mentioned if you have how to say, a false seed,
Right.
you'll get all those results.
Right.
But what if you have a unique seed, a
Okay.
perfect seed,
Hmm.
right? What's
Yeah.
the mind state that produces a perfect seed, not stained? When you start looking for it, where do you start finding it? I mean, it's like chasing the perfect seed, going after
Right.
the perfect seed. You get one perfect seed, and I guess then you start harvesting more seeds. I don't know.
What does anybody think? Janet has her hand up. Yes, Janet.
So according to the Lojong people, you take your biggest mental affliction and you like help yourself with it. And then mine is gossip. And then Geshe-la had a meditation and he said there were four ways that seeds ripen. It's the you get it back, you have a habit, you have environmental consequences, and then you have this big explosion. And I've been looking at my mental afflictions, and they're mostly habits. I'm in the habit of being tired. I'm in the habit of criticizing and things should be better. I'm in the habit of being dissatisfied. So I've gotten that far, but I don't think it's about perfect or non-perfect. I think it's what your biggest seed is. If your biggest seed is a white seed, then you should go for it. If it's a perfect seed, that's fine. Mine wasn't. But you sort of like look at that. And the thing about the perfect seed is that it's black and white, like my shirt. It's always mixed. So how do you how do you live with that? How do you live with something? How do you live with that? What's an example? Um, if you enable somebody and you're nice to them, but then they can do that behavior to somebody else, like what do you do? At what point do you stop them? And I would say early on, it's not physically stopping them. That's been my experience. Early on, it's taking a breath and waiting 5 minutes, letting them walk through a doorway, not triggering them with your behavior. And later on, it's stopping them. But at some point, you have to wonder when you put the boundaries up and you say, well, I love you, but there's the door. And if you're not going to walk through it, I'm going to walk through it. You know? So I think it's hard for me to talk to you, Roxana, because I'm kind of rough and I come from kind of like a rougher environment. So my tasks at hand are kind of more obvious. Maybe when you have things that happen to you, like not this hasn't happened to me, but to a friend, if your family puts a restraining order against you, it's clear you're done. And then you for 4 years you don't talk to them. It's the judge made that decision, not you. So it's over at that point. And then for people where it's more unclear, I think you kind of have to go through the steps of taking the breath and waiting and seeing if it dissipates on its own and trying not to trigger people and yourself. I personally find all that very exhausting and I'd like it to be done faster, but I'm young and I have energy, so I guess I could do it for a while. I don't know. But, I want to go to the violence. I want to put end to it right away, and that's part of my problem.
Uh, Thanks.
Yeah.
But
Joanna.
sorry, Diana, go ahead.
No, Elsie, go. It's okay.
I think the perfect seed is from our own perception of it, just like the pen and the dog and us, you know. So it's how we term it as perfect is how we want to see it or how our seeds ripen for us to see it. Yeah. I think there is no perfect seed that is the same for everyone. It's just unique to us. So I think whatever that you think is perfect to you, Rosanna, you should just go for it, you know. And I think as long as we believe or as long as we know that we have not done the wrong thing and what we perceive is good for everyone, then we we should just go for it. That's my two cents.
Yeah, it's just that reading these lines, it makes me wonder if I'm interpreting them in the right way and what can I take out of them. So if I'm doing something, at least my intention is always don't do it twice. Do it right the first time and do your best. Don't waste time on doing it a second time. And it's always been like that. If I'm going to cook, I'm going to cook and I'm going to do my best. If I'm going to clean my house, it's going to be clean. I'm not going to do it on the surface level. I'm going to go really scrub and really clean. So it's the same here. Am I really understanding? What's the view of this? Am I really getting the words with the intention that they were written? So that's what causes sometimes that that thing in my mind that because I read, I listen, and I pay attention, and I try to really make the most of the time that I'm investing in learning. So when I hear those words together, and then I think of them, well, think of them in a positive way, not in a negative. For me, false is negative, unreal, and lie. Why don't I think of them in the positive way? What would be the positive of those? And how do they influence my life? How can I get them to do something in my life for the best, for not just for me, for everybody? So that's what I say. It says, if you have a false seed, what does it mean to have a false seed? For Janet means one thing, for Joanne another, for me means another one. But if we come to a consensus here, does it mean to have a false seed? Maybe I can understand more where it's leading me to, because I don't want to have false seeds. I'm sorry if I'm taking that discussion a little bit too long, but that's how my mind and my brain work, that I just don't settle for reading and I need to really understand.
What is it that makes all our seeds mistaken?
Our wrong views,
Yeah, what wrong view? Particularly what wrong view?
particularly, okay. Mm, my self-existent, that things are coming my way.
Right, right. That me and the other have their identities unique to them, and
Right,
then we are these two things that are interacting. So there's the third thing happening. And
right.
then there's the fourth thing happening. I react in this way to get that result that happens next.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So we call that self-existence.
Right.
But it means so much more than just the words, right? As we're explaining words. So the falseness, what makes the seeds false? You could have false seeds on many different levels, but at I think this deep level, it's what makes the seed false is the belief that when this, right, as we were doing the deed that plants the seed, we're having in our belief a self-existent me did that self-existent thing to that self-existent other to get that self-existent result, and we believe it. And that's what makes the seed false.
Okay.
And yet that seed is going to ripen into specific
Same
results
result.
that have self-existent me experiencing self-existent that by self-existent them, bringing a self-existent reaction. So in that way, the seed is not false. It gives its result correct to its imprint, but it's still false, and its ripening is false because it's still mistaken. It still has the belief in the self-existence in the ripening because it was in the planting, which you could say, well, that's not false. That's consistent with the process. It's not false at all,
And it's what we call stained seed, the
but
same.
it's stained, right?
So here they're using false for stained.
Well, that's where we would wonder, is it the same word that
Well,
the
that's what
English,
I wonder and what I
right?
know too.
Or is Nagarjuna choosing to use false to make some impact more than stained? I, you know,
I
I
don't
don't,
know.
I don't know.
Me
And
either.
so that's for us to investigate. Like what is the word false? How does it have a different impact on our mind than if he had said stained or mistaken or no?
Yeah, just that the word
I don't
false
know.
seed has played something in my mind. It has
Yeah,
triggered
me too.
something.
I see. right? Because it's so slippery. We think, oh,
Right.
false. Okay, the whole thing's wrong. It's not going to work because it's false. It's right. If I plant the tomato seed intending to get tomatoes, and then what I get instead is a dandelion, it's like, oh, the seed I planted was false. But I didn't know that until I got the result. Versus I planted tomato seed, but it never comes up. Is that a false seed? Because
Oh,
it just didn't ripen? Yeah, we don't know. We're kind of at the mercy.
right.
I think you're helpful here, Lama, because the different books, even within the different same writers, the different books, they take a different approach. So the Mula Maria Makakarika is that things never start. They don't start, they
Mhm.
don't stop, they don't continue. So the higher middle way says there are no seeds. That's just something that you do to be a better practitioner. And then another way is they say it's all a dream. Why, when you dream or you have a magic show, it seems real, but then afterwards you know it's not real. So once you know it's not real, don't you realize that there's no physical thing? So they teach it like that. And then this person, this is Gelsop J, he's saying go back to your seeds, go back to purification, because that's where it all comes from. So don't do any of those things and don't have wrong worldviews. I think that's what Gelsop J is saying. But I don't know all the teachers. See, Lama Sarani is better at all that. And there are different flavors of how you look at the same thing a different way. I don't know. It's hard for me to go to higher, just straight to higher middle way. I'm someplace in the lower schools. It's
Yeah.
hard for me to just say, oh, everything, always, every single thing, and well, mostly people. All people have this empty nature inherently, and that it's not fair to project our our things on them. It's not fair.
I think it's quite skillful that he's talking about the habit in the verses as well, because I was hooked by by the word habit actually. So there's
Right.
many, many small things that we do all the time. And in regard of the me and the mine, this is the thing that we habitually plant all the time. This part, even if I say I'm planting the seeds, I'm thinking about things. I have the habit to do things this way or another way. And even if I think don't want to waste time, so what do I have to plant for seeds? There's always the I, there's always the me. And it's like this is the habit that maybe this is also one of the points that he wants the king to understand that habitually, even if you understand, you can do things and change things by your ethics, there's still this mistaken part of the me and the mine, which we habitually still see more self-existent, even if the outer world we kind of have deconstructed already that there is no self-existence. And we know that because we have studied in Nagarjuna before, so there's, we have much more knowledge. I don't know where the king is when he's reading that, and he didn't even have the commentary as we have. So, oh, poor king. I don't know what his level of understanding was, but it's really helpful to have this conversation. Actually, it's like, oh, interesting. What would I have made out of this? Mm.
But I think it's just as you mentioned habit. It's our habit to we learn something and we'll be doing it, and then we tend to separate it from our daily life. Okay? So I'm in a class, I'm in an environment of the same like-minded people, and I'll be doing things in one way. But when I'm with those who have never learned the system, I do it in another way. So it's like we compartmentalize our lives in two separate ways. When I'm in the seat and when I'm not in the seat. No, it could be that. So hence he's telling us that we should merge. We should work our lives this one way and there's no two way.
Right.
But it's so hard to not think I am this way or I am that way. This morning I complained to my husband and he was saying, you never like this and this to eat. And I was like, I've changed during the last 25 years. I didn't like it at the beginning when we met, but it's so long ago. Meanwhile, I really like it. Why don't you give it to me? So I'm resisting that he's, not seeing me having changed.
Mhm.
And then when I think now this conversation, it's the same as Roxana said, that I have certain things that I define myself as being really consistent. I do things like this and that, and it's like, ah, there's this is the way I am thing, which is when I read this again, it's just my blind spot somehow to see that there's, I mean, also this is changing all the time. And to not think of it and really kind of, this is just the way my seeds ripen at the moment, and then next moment it can be completely different. And sometimes I'm acting completely irrational. So that's interesting. So even if I treat myself or I'm acting myself, as you say, I see with, in like-minded people, and then you go to people who are not, I can do that by myself somehow also. Oh, that's really interesting.
Let's take a break.
Mm.
Oksana needs her coffee.
Thank you, dear Lam. I do need my coffee. I'm sorry because this cure here in this house, it takes longer. So please wait, okay?
Okay.
I got my times wrong, Lama Sarani, but I was thinking about you while I was getting ready for my wrong time. And
Thank
I
you.
mean, clearly you know that this interpretation isn't it is the Nagarjuna we know, but it's not the Nagarjuna. It's not the flavor. It's not the outrageousness of the Nagarjuna we know.
I
It's
know
he's
he's
not.
going easy on the king, isn't he?
Well, we don't know. I mean, it's Gelsupje's commentary. I'd like to see another commentary and see what that says.
Yeah.
I mean, later on, he doesn't go easy on the king with his desire for women.
Yeah, good. Good.
But
Thanks.
yeah, this part of the book is not feeling, you know, you said that he says that our problem is that we think that things don't exist. But throughout the Mula Maria Karika, it's that we think things do exist, but it's
Right.
not that they do exist, it's they exist in a way that we don't think. So I don't know. I don't know. I don't know about this. And then I wanted to figure out the difference between Gelsupje and um uh Gelsupje and Kjupje anyway. So it's okay to do this text and see how Gelsupje
Yeah.
talks about this topic of emptiness.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would say I don't think there's too much material about emptiness. I don't feel that, you know.
In this text, you mean?
No, in general. Like
Mm.
sometimes things are confusing because there's just too much material.
Uh,
But I think there's been a lot of time for corruption and you have to
yeah.
sort through all that.
Mhm.
I think there's all these different languages. That's an issue too.
Yeah.
I honestly I don't understand why more people don't study emptiness. It doesn't seem that unusual to consider all these things that they're talking about. But I
Yeah.
guess you would say it's the seeds. People don't have the seeds to be interested.
Right.
I mean, that experience Geisha Michael described with the pot, and it was a black rectangle with a silver circle. I mean, in
Mhm.
some ways, I experienced that with people. They're there, and then all of a sudden they become these puppets or children, and then they
Mm,
flash back, and then they're, my projections again. And then
mm.
I wonder, or is this trying to tell me that we're just pieces of meat, or is this trying to tell me this is my projection? Or both. And then I
Yeah,
get kind of confused. And then I get very tired and I just give it up for a little bit, take a break from all that.
good.
Hopefully, I'll get to the emptiness of my mind at some point, which is what you were trying to suggest we go to away from the physical parts of our bodies and the
Yeah.
puppets. I told Tom I felt like whenever I listen to Geshe Michael's talks, I feel like he speaks to me personally. And he was talking about the Bindi point.
Uh-huh.
And he talked about being on the flight to Madison, Wisconsin with the Tibetan.
Cute. That's nice.
I'm reworking for the homework, the Phoenix classes also. So I don't know if it was in the October retreat or now in December, but Goshimaike also suggested, as you did in former classes, to try a day without saying me, mine, I, and so on. And I only tried 5 minutes and I just failed immensely. It's like, how can you ever say anything? You always have to say you. You always have to start with the you, and somehow I don't know. I didn't last 5 minutes. It was so interesting. So it really is a big obstacle to have this fixed thing. I person. Hmm, that's weird.
Did anybody do the debate with Ben and Kendra these last few days? Oh,
I listened to the recording, but then they broke out and you're supposed to practice with people.
yeah,
And I mean, I'm taking Adam's Pramana class, so it's some of the same language. But
yeah,
I found myself debating like just in my day-to-day life.
good. Yeah, because here we got a proof. Consider the parts of a person that come from grasping to a me. That's our subject. Our assertion about it is they lie to us. And our reason is because the object of that grasping to a me, which is unreal, meaning not ultimate, is false. So we would apply our reason to our subject to see if those relate. And then if they do, we check to see if the reason is true, whether it is or not. If it were, would that necessarily mean the assertion is true? And when we investigate that, we come up and say, yeah, that's true. Then we negate the assertion. And if that were true, not whether it is or not, but if it were, does that necessarily negate the reason? And if when we investigate all of that, we find that that is true, that would be true, then it means the whole syllogism is airtight logic. And then we can say, oh, okay, then the ramifications of that would be blah, 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 blah. And if at any point in that checking, we can't, we don't agree, then we investigate what is it about that relationship that's wrong and adjust it to try to make it such that the proof actually proves. So, and in this particular proof, the subject has these multiple aspects to it. Consider the parts of the person that come from a grasping to a me. We're looking at that as a whole topic, but then within that topic, it's got little pieces. That's where debate, right, gets the nuances. And then the reason also has these multiple parts. The object we're talking about, it's unreal nature, it's not ultimate nature, and it's false nature. So it would be a really complicated debate to go through to sort out whether we agree with this proof versus just hear the commentator explaining the verse and saying, well, here's the proof of the verse. And then taking that at his word, like that this is the correct proof. He didn't say correct proof, but assuming that's what it means. But maybe we're not supposed to do that. Maybe we're supposed to work out the debate. However, that said, I'm going to go on.
There'd be nothing unreal. There'd be nothing false if there was nothing real, right? So then you're going back to dependent origination because there's only the truth, but without the false, you don't have the truth because it comes, that's the problem.
Yeah, it is the
Problem
problem.
is the dependent and with our language, the dependent origination.
Right. Oh my gosh, there's another part. We stopped and talked about this whole sentence, and there's a second part to it. So let's start over. Janet, would you read us this proof and then we'll finish it on the next page?
Cheer. Let's look at the proof.
Hi.
Consider the parts of a person that come from grasping to a me. They lie to us because the object of that grasping to a me, which is unreal, meaning not ultimate, is false.
All right, here's the second part of that.
And that is the case. Because how could a result which is real come from a seed which is false? It's impossible. Because there's no real result that could come from a false cause.
Hey, we figured that out, didn't we? Good for us. So what's false about the causes that we don't think are false but are false?
Our ignorance.
Right. And how does it manifest? I'll give you a
Well, and all of the obstacles that we face, that's how it manifests. in all
Right.
of afflictions. I mean, that's how I see it.
That we believe that what we do in the moment brings what comes next.
No.
Isn't
Well,
that the false cause? Because it's not the real cause.
you know, this Saturday, it was night, and then Eduardo said, "Oh, three of of my friends are here in town, and they just want to come visit." And I just said, "But if you knew they were in town, why didn't you say before that they were?" And everything, the house was perfectly settled, and we said, "Yeah, okay, let them come in." So then they ended up sleeping here because the hotels were too expensive. That's what they said. So they stayed here. And then
Fine.
Sunday morning, we offered them breakfast and they left. Then all of a sudden, Sunday afternoon, he receives a call again. And it's his friends saying, "Hey, would you mind if we stay over again? Our car just broke down at the Arizona Mills, at the
Oh,
mall." So here they come again. And was that they woke up here Monday morning and they were going to go look for a mechanic to get the car fixed. They couldn't get the car fixed on Monday. They had to look for another mechanic. They couldn't get the car fixed yesterday until late yesterday, and they drove back to Hermosillo. The thing is, obstacle after obstacle and after obstacles. And I was seeing that, and I was thinking to myself, oh, this young man who have these high positions in the government, who are the ones who are making decisions, I wonder how many people they are tripping on their way or the decisions that they're making for them
yeah.
to be receiving all of these obstacles. But you cannot say it out loud.
No, you can't.
You can't. And I mean, you see the obstacles, but
Yeah,
what's the obstacle of not being able to express yourself and say it
right.
so people can just figure out a better way of living
Yeah,
and doing things? I
right,
mean, that in itself, it's a big obstacle, Lama,
right, 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 right.
because if you know something, why is it so difficult? Just in a very natural, humble way, approach people and say, there's a better way of doing things. How can I plant those seeds just to be able to be listened to and just say, hey, we can do things in a different way.
Yeah. So when anytime I hear that question, how do I, what seeds do I have to plant to do blah, blah, blah? Because that's a really big question that we want to say, okay, be open-minded and listen to other people's suggestions. But even that's too non-specific. Like what prevents us from just opening our mouth and saying, you know, this is all just seed ripening behavior from how you obstacled somebody in the past. Just to use those words, if I was on the receiving end, I would reject, right? Because to say, due to something you did in the past is accusatory, it's perceived as accusatory. And I don't want to accuse somebody. I don't want them to be upset with me. I want them to hear what I had to say. I want them to accept what I have to say, which means I have to wait until they ask me.
Right.
So how come they don't ask me?
Because I never asked anybody.
Because I never asked anybody. And maybe even if I did ask, I didn't really listen, right? Or I rejected automatically, or I argued, or like all the different ways.
Okay, so uh, I can rejoice in all the ways that I've asked and I've listened.
Yeah,
So start flipping that.
right, right. So rather than thinking, oh, how can I word it so that they'll hear me? It's like,
Okay.
no, no, how do I behave? But it's like, wait, I don't want to hear about anybody else's opinion about where things come from. I have my own. I don't want to waste my time on others. And yet, others others want to tell you, right? We have a big community, not a big community. I'm not speaking that wrongly. I volunteer with Neighbors Helping Neighbors, and the Neighbors Helping Neighbors group is headed by a couple of people who are very, very strong in their Christian faith. And so, they talk about turning their troubles over to Jesus, and Jesus is going to help. And right, and amen, right? So I'm not going to go to them and say, look, the fact that Jesus can help you is because you follow what Jesus tells you to do, but then you create the seeds, and then, right? They're not interested. And I'm not particularly interested in opening the conversation about Jesus with them, because I know they're going to be saying, have you taken Jesus into your heart? Are you saved? And if you're not saved, right, you're going to burn in hell, and we have to get you baptized. And frankly, right, I don't want to antagonize. It's like, I understand what you're saying, but in my mind, in my heart, I I mean, I do talk to them. I do have nice conversations, right? All right, about their faith and how I admire their faith. And right, I do that. But I don't turn it to a debate or an explanation or trying to explain to them their faith on purpose, even though I admit in my own arrogance, I think I know better. So I keep my mouth shut.
Yeah, that's the thing. I I mean, it's I feel like I know better, but but it's not like not being humble. It's like, oh, like a mom,
Yeah,
you want to save your kid of trouble
yeah,
in that sense. Not that I know better that.
yeah, yeah. Right. Our response, oh, is how do I change me in order for me to see them differently?
Right.
I have to keep coming back to that. How do I
Yes.
change me?
That's the main purpose of the question is
Yeah,
how can I change me so I can help them
yeah,
or
yeah.
or that I don't need to help them.
Right, right. If we don't need to help. No, that's not right either.
No, I mean
I
to
suppose,
see my world different.
yeah, yeah. If they were wondering, if they were having a conversation, this is so odd, where is this all happening from? What's going on? Then we could say, where do you think it's coming from? What do you think causes all these obstacles? Everything has a cause, right? Things are results of causes. Where do you think they come from? One could start a intellectual exploration just out of fun, out of curiosity. And maybe the direction would go to where we'd have a chance to say, we do reap what we sow. But then at any point, if I were on the receiving end of that, and I hadn't really opened the question and brought it up, I would feel like I would get defensive, and I just don't want to ever turn that on to somebody else, because it feels so awful to be on the defense,
Right. Right.
to be clinging to my wrong views. Anyway, yeah, there are two hands up. Go ahead, ladies.
Okay, let me go first. But if we were to, you know, skillfully guide them to sort of recall the assistance they have given others. So maybe in the course of a conversation, so, uh, oh, I'm truly sorry you can't find somebody suitable to help you. have you ever helped someone? I
Right.
mean, make things easy for someone in maybe certain situations, and then get them to talk about it and how they feel and how the other person feel about it. So maybe that way, we can sort of guide them to do a
Yeah.
rejoicing of
Yeah.
how to do it. And then in our mind, after they have started talking about it, then we dedicate it. We dedicate these seeds that they have planted, to everyone who has obstacles in their way. Help them clear the obstacles and dedicate it to everyone, including ourselves and their future self, so that
Yeah,
we
that's
can
very
always.
skillful.
You know what I did? What I did, Elsie, is I had a small package and I gave them to them and I said, "Can you just please take this to Hermosillo for me?"
Nice.
Because I would plant the seeds of helping me deliver
Yeah,
something back.
that's good.
So that's what I did. And it could have waited. I don't know. Mario's coming back soon. I don't know if they're going to be able to deliver the package to Mario. And it's not even for Mario.
Yeah.
It's from a niece. But, you think of other ways
Yeah,
as
that's
well.
good. Good.
Planting
Yeah,
the seeds, I guess.
Right.
yeah,
Joanna, what do you
Thank you,
think?
Elsie.
yeah.
I also liked in the recent Tonglen course, I mean, they are suffering at that moment anyway, and we can do it under pressure. I really like it a lot. And then just, it's annoying and it's taking time and it's taking money. And it's like they have so much things we can take from. And the additional adding that I really loved that Namasamani taught us in the course is, giving the wisdom. So with everything that you give them is giving them wisdom or interest in listening to things. So I try to add this part in the Tonglen also to open them up so that I can see them opening up and so that I can see them asking probably or getting the knowledge from someplace else. I don't know, but yeah, to give the wisdom as well. That's also something that I like.
Yeah. I think that Tonglen course, it's really helpful. I mean, I've done Tonglen a couple of times before, but each time that I do it, it's like wow and wow. It's a big exclamation mark always at the end. But it's like having to come back to it often, just not to forget the importance of it and all the details in it. It was a beautiful course that you taught us, dear Holy Lamb. I'm glad that it's recorded and it's in the platform. Hopefully, the people will join in and listen to it.
Yay. All right, next section, a demonstration that we become free by giving it up. Giving what up?
The me and the mine, right?
Yeah, the habit of me and mine. So now this time they didn't translate the verse directly. We just have it in our italics. So let me see. Let me use the italics to give us the verse, and then we'll read Gyaltsabje's. We see that the parts of the person are in that sense unreal. We give up grasping to me, and having let those go, parts will not rise again. I'll do it again. We see that the parts of the person are in that sense unreal. We give up grasping to me, grasping me, having let those go, parts will not rise again. Parts will not rise again, not at all, or not in the wrong way at all. Okay, so now let's make it into a sentence. Who is reading last? Where are we at? Who's
I
next?
finished reading. I don't know if Janet or Elsie are next.
Okay, let's go up to Janet, please.
When we see that the parts of the person are in that sense unreal, we give up grasping to me and mine, which is to say, grasping to a me and mine that could exist through any nature of their own.
Okay. How come? Ah, there.
And having let those go, any parts that we had that were infected with suffering will not arise again. We will give up suffering and its source and thus achieve liberation.
Got it? Sorry, I can't get that all on one page. Oh, yes, I can. Karma shifts.
So does this mean if I don't think that there's a self-existent me, I still perceive myself having all my parts, but I'm not going to suffer from aging, from dying, from getting sick? It
Right.
still will happen because it's the nature of my stain seeds,
Right.
but I'm not going to suffer. Is that correct?
I would take it to mean that. So one implication is when we give up grasping to our me and mine, it's not that me and mine disappear. It's that our suffering, me and mine, disappear because the suffering comes from the misperception that we are independent things that others are doing stuff to. So that disappears, which means all of that blame factor about my experience, that when we don't have the blame factor, we don't have the suffering. And I'm not sure I agree with that. It's like, I don't have to blame anybody for my own headache, my own cough. But I am so blaming something, right? My mind is saying this caused that unpleasantness to happen. If we are experiencing it as a ripening of our own seeds, says the Arya, we don't suffer from it. Do we find it pleasant? No. So somehow the suffering is independent of the pleasant or unpleasant, which is interesting to think about. All right, we've got the heap. Thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs neutral, physical, mental. And then the misunderstanding of those makes the discriminating which is, I want that, I don't want this. And all the other stuff that goes along with it. And then all the other factors that make me up, all the reactions I'm going to do to get what I want, to avoid what I don't want, and all the awareness is going on, right, through which that's actually being delineated. So it's implying that if our heaps are free, if we are free of this wrong view, even as a thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs neutral experience is happening, it won't, the dominoes of the automatic reaction, grasp, avoid, blah, 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 isn't gonna happen automatically. Instead, we're gonna choose our response. Positive, share, offer, right? Negative, burn it off, do the opposite. And if we know exactly what to do in the moment of an unpleasant situation, is there suffering involved? No, the suffering comes with the next cough attack, like really subtly is going to be, is this the one that's going to actually make me stop breathing last long enough that I'm going to pass out? And it's like, it crosses my mind when I'm coughing and gagging and I'm blaming something, as opposed to, all right, another purification going on. This is fine. Let it happen. My attitude, my reaction would be so different. And there wouldn't be all the resistance and the worry and the blah, blah, blah. Right? So we can still have unpleasant stuff happen, but we don't have to suffer from it. But it's not a matter of just willpower. I'm going to choose not to suffer. It's already happened by the time we say, I'm going to choose not to. So it's not just talking about that. It's saying when our grasping is gone, is eliminated, right, the ramifications of that grasping is also eliminated.
Because you eliminate the results, right? Of whatever comes next, you just accept it. You don't hold on to our result, I suspect.
Right. As those two connected, right? The result's still a result.
It
but
is,
it's not
but
the result of that thing that
right,
I just did.
right.
Yeah.
But
Right.
I'm thinking, if you're coughing, you're choking in that precise minute.
Yeah.
All you want is to catch your breath and go back to
Right.
breathing normally. It's
Right.
like it's difficult to have a clear mind in that state of coughing, and you're in
Right.
survival mode in that precise moment.
Exactly. Exactly. And survival mode is colored by self-existent me, self-existent other, the seeds of survival mode. So it's very difficult to 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 override in the moment. We really can't do it. We need to plant the seeds to be able to do it, right? And that's the purpose of our meditation practice and our mindfulness in times that are not life-threatening. Not that my cough is life-threatening, but it feels like that when I'm in the middle of it.
Right, right, because I've seen you and I want to help you.
Right. Right.
But for example, I'm just thinking, I just spent a lot of money buying a lot of vitamins, different types of vitamins, as if that were to help me,
Right.
right? Stop my
Yeah,
suffering or whatever. That's a grasping to a result, Lama.
it is. It is. It is. And it's the false seeds. Right? How are we going to get a result out of false seeds?
Right. But if you don't take your vitamins,
I know. They can't do anything if you don't take them.
right,
And they can't do anything if you do take them.
right.
So why not take them?
It's so slippery.
So why take them? But then why eat? Then why breathe? And why go to sleep at night? Right? It's like Yeah,
Yeah, why take
Yeah,
a kidney transplant? Why?
right. Why do anything? It's
so which
that,
means it's
right,
the surface cost for a seed to ripen.
right, right. If your vitamins are loaded, they will work.
Hmm. So whenever we take a vitamin, we then, I think, plant the seed by dedicating us protecting our own lives to other people who need their life protected.
Right. And even before you take it, like I remember giving Tylenol to my baby when they had the fever to bring their fever down and then take it. Right.
Hmm.
Load it. All right. Well, that was fun. Let's mark our.
Joanna, Janet, are you guys going to Guadalajara for the retreat? No. Janet, did you decide at the end to go to the retreat?
Yeah, I'll be at the
Oh,
retreat.
Oh,
yay.
that's wonderful.
Yay,
Great.
Janet, thank
A
you.
big rejoice. Wonderful.
I have issues with speech and I have to not talk for 5 days.
You'll love it afterwards. Believe me, you'll love it. Right, Joanna?
It was most beautiful,
Yeah, it was an
2008.
amazing retreat. Yeah, we had a
Somehow we
great time.
have the 17th today. It's Geshe Michael's birthday and Dr. Wu's birthday. At least we have
Oh,
the
yay.
17th in Germany.
It is. We are the 17th. Yay.
How about all the
Yes.
rest of the people? So it was a
Yay.
birthday
Yay.
discussion
Yay.
today
Geshe Michael's
in
It's
birthday.
wonderful.
Germany.
Yes.
Yay. Happy birthday. May he live long, 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 long.
May he live a long, long life. And it's Dr. Wu's birthday as well.
Right. Yay. Dr. Wu's birthday. May he live long, 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 long. Nice. I don't know what made that bold, but it's smart because maybe I'll be able to find it next time. Thank you, Karma. So we won't meet again until January 14th.
Did you say
Oh,
14th?
14th, January 14th. Yeah. So remember that person we wanted to be able to help at the beginning? We have set in motion that ultimate result. And that's a great, great goodness. So please be happy. With an intention to do more. I don't mean more, I mean ongoing. And think of this goodness in as a beautiful glowing gemstone we can hold in our hands. Recall our own precious holy being. See how happy they are with us? Feel your gratitude to them, your reliance upon them. Ask them to please, please stay close, to continue to guide you, help you, inspire you, and then offer them this gemstone of goodness. See them accept it and bless it. And they carry it with them right back into our hearts. See them there, feel them there. Their love, their compassion, their wisdom. It feels so good, we want to keep it forever. And so we know to share it by the power of the goodness that we've just done. May all beings complete the collection of merit and wisdom, and thus gain the two ultimate bodies that merit and wisdom make. So use those 3 long exhales to share this goodness with that one person. To share it with everyone you love. To share it with every existing being everywhere. See them all filled with loving kindness, filled with wisdom, and may it be so. All right. Thank you for investigating these things with me. It's so fun.
Thank you, Lami.
Yes, I love our